talk a little bit about some of the cell and gene therapy value analysis. You just published a new analysis that explores ICER's adaptations for valuing potential cures on the high-impact single and short-term therapies. What have you learned through this analysis?
Oh, thank you for bringing that up. This was a really exciting analysis to do. So gene therapies are potentially transformative, right? One administration potentially bringing a lifetime of value, cure to patients, diseases that we previously thought were incurable. Mm-hmm. Really, really exciting. But it introduces some real challenges to value assessment. Two of those challenges are timing and uncertainty. So if you think about timing, value at its core is benefits and cost. What are the benefits you get? What do you have to pay to get those benefits? You can define them differently, but those are the two components of value, benefits and cost. From a timing perspective, in our present healthcare system, which is a real mess here in the US, we have a lot of crazy incentives, a lot of issues with our system. From a cost perspective, you may be paying one time upfront for benefits that last a lifetime. So you've got a mismatch in timing under our current payment system. And then uncertainty is related to that. Are these benefits going to last a lifetime? What is the durability of effect? We are asking payers to pay for these products. What are they paying for? What is the value? We hope that there is going to be a cure. We hope that there's a lifetime impact, but we don't always know. Even the best clinical trials are not going to give you answers to what is that lifetime impact going to look like. So to ICER's credit, it recognizes that the value assessment needs for cell and gene therapies are different. It has been doing a lot of cell and gene therapy assessments over the past year. This is a very important area for payers to get information in. And what do we see when we look at how ICER is applying its methods? It developed methods specifically for what they call SSTs, single and short-term transformative therapies, back in 2017. Mm-hmm. We're seeing those methods being applied as it's doing these new reviews of cell and gene therapies. And we saw a couple of concerns in our analysis with respect to methods and limitations. And I'll just give you an example of one of each of those. So in regards to methods, ICER invented what it calls shared savings approach. And on the surface, it sounds very magnanimous. These treatments are going to provide benefits, value, and we're going to share that savings, the benefits, the value with society. That sounds great. It sounds great. Mm-hmm. But what is it really? What it really is it's essentially a cap of the benefits that the treatment can realize or recognize in the context of ICER's analysis. Is that problematic? So you can look at it in two ways. On the one hand, it's a great conversation to have, right? How much benefit should the treatment be recognizing? However, this approach isn't evidence-based. It's something that ICER made up, mm-hmm. and it's something that is opposed by a wide range of stakeholders. So methodologically, there's some concerns there. Mm-hmm. And then when we shift to application and still looking at the same approach, the shared savings approach, there's some concerns here too. As I mentioned, it's not a bad conversation to have. When ICER introduced this concept, it introduced it using the word exploratory. This is just designed to spark some conversation, to have some discussions, which is a fair thing to do. We have questions around durability of effect. ICER said it won't use the shared savings approach to set its value-based price. Mm-hmm. And then what happened? In December of last year, ICER silently, without announcing it, without having an opportunity for stakeholder engagement, changed its framework. It just posted a new framework on the website, wasn't announced, And the framework codified the shared savings approach, which means it was no longer exploratory. It was no longer designed just to spur conversations and consider it. It was now going to be a potential driver of ICER's value-based price. And that's what we saw. We saw it start to show up in the press release, in the what ICER calls its report at a glance, which is often the only thing that people look at to get the highlights of a report that might be over 100 pages long. And that concerns me. So we've got the methodology that isn't evidence-based, that's opposed by stakeholders, and we've got the application happening in a way that is inconsistent with the original intent and changed without transparency, without stakeholder engagement. And I do want to be clear, there are good people at ICER. I believe they want to do the right thing. I believe they want transparency. I believe that they want stakeholder engagement. And I am hopeful that when Dan Ohlendorf comes back in November as chief science officer, Sarah Iman takes over as the incoming president, that these are things that they will elevate and that they'll really be focusing on bringing that transparency back, elevating the opportunities for stakeholder engagement, because again, those are the principles that ICER was built on and embraced so holistically for many years.
Mm-hmm. Are there any unintended or intended consequences with this codification that may occur before the new leadership at ICER has the opportunity to reconsider this approach?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. So the biggest unintended consequences is the way that this works and pulls through in the results is it's essentially capping the price. So it's moving towards a lower price. Mm-hmm. And it appears to be more consistent with cost minimization, moving towards a low price than what is a value-based price. If ICER does its typical cost effectiveness analysis, which it does, you get a much higher price in the millions of dollars. That is technically cost effective. And what's happening is this price is being artificially lowered, again, with a methodology that is not evidence-based. It's something that ICER created. And that sends signals on innovation. That sends signals on what value looks like and what we're willing to pay for in our health system. And that has ripple effects. So that's what I'm concerned about, the innovation signals, patients being able to get these transformative therapies. We always see in the news lately new products that were in development for maybe an ultra rare population, and the incentives just weren't in place to continue developing that product. Mm-hmm. That's what I worry about.
The 1980s called and cost minimization methodology wants to go back under the ground.
Yes, yes.